There is a silent war that is fought against the existence of Fulanis in Nigeria. As we all know, in the past, the Fulanis were considered the most peaceful tribes in Nigeria. They were down to earth, they were friendly, they were very humble. But what happened to the Fulani of today? Of course, when you see a sleeping lion sleeping, it looks innocent. But when you wake it up and seem like a threat to it, it will show you its true nature as a king of the jungle. The Fulanis today have been looked down on every aspect of life, seen commonly as what you call Fulanis. Fulanis, they behave like animals. Fulanis, those ones, they don't have any good life to live. There is no human that's created on this earth that does not have his right to existence, his right to his culture, and his right to live his life however he wants. Now we have so much stereotyped the Fulanis for a very long time, and today it backfires back, and we are all crying, woof. Now, the question, how did we even maltreat the Fulanis? Remember that Fulani that you said was a fool? That you said when you go to the corner, you're going to hijack him, beat him up, and collect his cow. Remember that Fulani never forgot. Remember the Fulani girl who was wearing just singlet and wrapper and was walking around the street, very humble, very simple, who trusted everyone, that you seized her money and you refused to, that you took her drink and you refused to pay? Or that lady that you hijacked in one corner and molested because she looked so helpless? Today, we have touched the people who have been silent for so long, and they have become a monster for our society. The Fulani life matters. The Fulani culture matters. The Fulani existence needs to be recognized in Nigeria. Fulani is not just a tribe that is located in northern part of Nigeria. There is no law in the world that says you stay in a place for over 200 years and you do not claim the ownership of that land. How did our forefathers get the land in the first place? Did they buy it from the creator? Today, the land we call ours were just migration routes. They were migration routes where our forefathers passed, they claimed the land, and today they became our own. And then we say, okay, this is my land and this is my culture. The Fulanis have been roaming around Africa for a very long time, and a lot of them have settled in places all over this country. We have Fulanis that are indigenous to Kwara, we have Fulanis that are indigenous to Kogi, we have Fulanis that are indigenous to the eastern part of Nigeria in places like Enugu. We have Fulanis that are indigenous to almost all the states in Nigeria. Why do we suddenly don't see them? Why do we now attribute them to Islam? The Fulanis that move around, that have been moving around from Africa, round Africa, were not actually attributed to any religion. They were just people who herded their cattle as a lifestyle. Now, why do we need to look at the Fulani issue? The question is that a lifestyle? Is that a lifestyle? Says the enemies of Nigeria, who will tell you that the Fulani lifestyle is supposed to be looked down on, relegated, and not appreciated. Of course, because you are not exposed. That's why you looked at it. You look at it as something to be looked down on. Now, when you talk about Kenya and a visual representation of Kenya's culture around the world, you cannot look at Kenya without taking a big look at the Maasai tribe. What the Maasai tribe represents nomadic herders. Of course, they are not Fulani, but they are somehow related. And they are not even Muslims. We need to accept the existence of the Fulani, because they're not just a group of people we can trash out. They're humans and they deserve to live their lives the way they want. Fulani life matters. We call on the president to address the issues of the Fulani with utmost heed. Fulani existence is being threatened. Fulani has the right to live. They have the right to their culture. They have the right to their way of life. Have we gotten a department where all Fulani herders are registered, where they carry ID cards with barcodes so we know who is who, the number of animals they have? Can we have a department like that? Can we have local courts that are established in our communities to settle local issues? Can we have local courts just for settling of cattle herders and farmers' classes? If you truly appreciate this economy, because you know they're all vital parts of the economy of the North, can you do that, Your Excellency? It is not just for you to come and take advantage of the northern part of Nigeria when the election comes. Do something for the North. Do something for the safety and the security of the North. The herders clash, the herder-farmer clash cannot stop today unless we address it. And it's not only by just coming to talk about it online. Solution needs to be given. One of the basic solutions is for all Fulani herders to be registered under a ministry, giving some kind of identification so that when they are passing, they will have the leverage of passage. That means that this person has been recognized. These are just simple matters that could be easily addressed. If I find a Fulani walking on the street and I ask you, who are you? Why are you walking here? You produce your ID card. If you are doing something wrong, it is easy for me to report you and have your license revoked. We license our herders so that everybody, while they are passing, we can know who is who. From there, we can be able to differentiate the infiltrators, the ones that are coming from other countries to come and create problem in Nigeria. There are Fulanis that are coming from other countries, because Fulani is a general tribe, just like Hausa is a general tribe, where you can find Hausa in Nigeria, and you can also find Hausa in Sudan and places like that. So are we just going to sit down and continue this tribal blame game, keeping to look at calling each other names? Do you truly love this country? If you truly love this country, it is high time we sit down, put this Fulani matter to table. You know, there's one thing about what happened during the time of Buhari. There's this group of people in this country who like to shame us. And they like to call it so terribly that we do not have a voice. The time we would invest in fighting for change, we use it to defend our opinions and gaslight us into things. This is time for reality. Whatever name that a Fulani is being called, we're going to tolerate it until we get a solution to our problems. The Fulani matter needs to be sat down. The issue of telling the Fulanis to go into ranching when ranchings are not provided, or the issue of telling Fulanis to rent land for rearing of animals, we know that these animals are nomadic in nature and they're not going to remain in one location? Or is it the issue of telling us to modernize the whole Fulani once? How many concepts in Nigeria has suddenly been modernized? And we now say that every other tribe, whatever challenges they're facing in other parts of this country, that the evolution should take place suddenly? Where is it being done? Even if the Fulani would one day, someday in the future, evolve into a better style of rearing of their animals, it cannot stop today. And there are millions of those cows out there, and thousands and hundreds of thousands of Fulanis that are into cattle rearing. This is their source of income. This is their way of life. This is their way of living. We cannot stop it. This is more like a silent, calculated propaganda for the genocide of the Fulani people. It is high time we look and call ourselves to order over the issue of the Fulani. Your Excellency, listen up and don't ignore the Fulani cry. The former President Muhammad Buhari, used the same strategy to ignore the cries of the Fulani because he was so apologetic, thinking sympathizer, or they're going to say that he's supporting his people. He kept trying his best and never succeeded because he was apologetic. It is high time Your Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu should look into this matter unapologetically because of what? The progress of this country.